Alright, so this here is peat moss, and it's pretty much what I use for all my repotting, like my base for my repotting mix. Peat moss. I'll show you the brand later, but it's pretty good. It hasn't really. I think the only downside to peat moss is that it's very hydrophobic once it's fully dry. But once you get it wet, I mean, that sucker stays wet for a good long time. So some folks use sand or perlite. But yeah, to help the water flow through this dense material. But you have to make sure you hydrate it before you start trying to pot your plants here. And when I found a good way to hydrate it, the best way I found was that to mist it. And that's a quicker way to get it hydrated again. Because once you put the heavy stream on it, I mean, it's just gonna float on top of all the material. And so you gotta work it in. You gotta massage it essentially. And I usually put the sand or the perlite after the fact, once I get it nice and moist. If not, I found that it usually clumps up into certain locations if you don't wet it first. So you can easily mix it in once and after it's wet. Usually with this much peat moss, I would use my hoe to mix it in. More like, just plunging it down there and squishing it down, making sure it's wet. But, I feel like I need to get me a workout in because I'm feeling kind of sluggish, You might be asking, hey, why are you using a glove? I'm using a glove so that all the little sticks and even the perlite itself, not the perlite, but the peat moss, doesn't continue pushing back my cuticles and then pushing under my fingernails. Because do that long enough, especially with this amount, it starts to hurt, so I'm trying to avoid that. Because it's got sticks like this in there, and then you start shoving your fingers in there, it's gonna start going under there. I'm not fun with that whole wood under the fingernails thing. This is just regular play sand. They don't really sell any other type of sand. But good thing about play sand, it is washed and clean sand, so you could use it in your pots. Now, if it's a smaller, like if you got 1 or 2 gallons of the peat moss, you only need like 1 shovel. It gets it pretty good. But since this is a large batch, I put sand and perlite so that the moisture gets there, because this is going to go at the bottom. And with that, I'm going to put in some amendments, which is it's kind of like chicken manure. I mean, the base of it is chicken manure, and it has a higher acid to it. It's not much, but it's not. I'm not gonna put a whole lot, you know. I just want the bottom of my pot to be fertilized. You know, have a good amount of food in there, so that the roots, you know, can start moving down. You know, I don't want all the roots to be up at the top. And I'll show you what I'm using later, between the peat moss, perlite, and the plant food. Yeah, it was pretty good this weekend. We went to the farmer's market and got a couple of trees and a couple of smaller plants. I think most of them are perennials. I don't like dealing with perennials, you know, or anything I can harvest seed from and then, you know, plant it the next year. The perlite I like is the Vigoro brand. You know, not sponsored or anything. I just like what I like. You know, and you don't want a whole lot of perlite. And what I normally do is put water in the bag so it's not pluming out dust, because that you don't want in your lungs. You know. You don't want none of that in your lungs. The other thing I thought about perlite, if you don't put it at the bottom or somewhere in the middle, it's gonna float to the top. So you just want to give it a good mix. That's the perlite. Here's the plant food. Plant food that smells like chicken butt. But they literally say it's not. I don't know. This type is a water soluble plant food, so you just want to wet it a little bit. And the reason I don't wet it in the bucket, because it's just gonna grow stuff in there. and just mold over, mildew over. It'll grow other things besides, you know, plants. Anyway, you want to give that a good mix. Get to the bottom and you fold it over. And if you're the type that likes to make sourdough, this is a good strength training for you. I'd use my right hand, but my shoulders are all jacked up. Okay, that's good. All right. Okie dokie. So, I'm gonna turn the camera here. Oof. All right. Not there, I think. Yeah, okay, it's in the shot. Here's the fig. I'm only dealing with one camera, you know, so bear with me. Yeah, got 2 figs and old ginkgo over here. I don't know if you can see that. Hold on. Ginkgo. All right. And that's the bag I'm putting it in. I like the cloth bags because, you know, with the peat moss, you can once it's absorbed in there, you got enough water, so any excess water just pulls right out, if it has a place to go, you know. So you're gonna be a lot better preventing yourself from overwatering with these, in my experience. Wormy worms. Get in there. Get in there. All right. So with the bag, you want to make sure you push it to the edges, because it'll strengthen the walls there. And you make your little hole. So we're going to make another batch. Now, if you were working in a plastic pot, I'd say the consistency of your, this is way too much. This right here, it being all watery like that, you don't want that for a plastic pot. You want it pretty much, if you squeeze all that water out, you know, be able to hold its shape, but not be overly dry. All right. So what I'm trying to do is get enough peat moss to meet or go just below what the dirt in there is, right, in the pot. You don't want to go over it, and then, you know, it start to rot. And then I'm gonna put mulch around here to keep these edges up and prevent anything else from growing in here. I got other pots for that, for random growth. Because you don't ever know what kind of seeds you might end up having, you know. You'd be surprised at what I got from doing that. All right. There we go. Bam. There we go. Might be a little low. Might be a little. The other thing I like about bags, I was telling my wife about it, was that since we're living on a hill here, or most of the property, you know, a hard container would just be at an angle. So these bags will contour, you know, and be plumb even on uneven surface like this. Alright, let's end the camera. Make our second batch. And right now it doesn't matter how much I need to put in there. I'm not gonna scrimp on it. Normally I would measure it out, but right now I'm not, because I have a lot of planting to do. Planting, because I got more than just this one fig plant to plant. I got a couple of little plants to plant. And one of these bags, it's upside down. But the, what is the brand? Can't really tell what the brand is. Premier Tech is a company that's, I'm not sure if that's it. I guess that's it. But if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot, it's the big white bag with the green on it. And it's the Premier Peat Moss. It used to be when I first started getting it, couple of bucks, you know, less than $10, and then it went up to 13, and now it's like almost $30. But I mean, it's well worth it. It goes far. These are 30-gallon pots, and I could do, depending on what I'm trying to grow, I'm putting in a tree will need half of this, depending on how big the pot. I mean, how high you want to put it. But for me, I just need half. For these figs, probably the same. So I put a little over half right here because I got those little plants to do. And so it's really dry. Oh yeah, that sun's coming over here. Yeah. So I got a little shade now. I got these little marigolds over here. I don't know if you can see it, but I got these little marigolds I'm gonna be planting. You know. I mostly have lilies as far as flowers, but I heard marigolds are good. I mean, they're pretty little pom-pom looking things. But I also got some seeds for some columbine. Where's that other one? I guess it's behind the camera there. Comfrey and yarrow. And a couple of little ones over there. Alright, but yeah, this sucker's dry. You make sure you break it up. It is a hot day. Hose water's hot. So you just want to spray all that loose stuff down into itself. And it's going to get it nice and soaked. You know, so you don't have to do a whole lot of work. Using my right hand like I shouldn't. My right hand is beat up on my shoulder and my elbow. Anyway. Another good bin is a mixing trough with a hoe, and you could really get it soaked in that way. If you're trying to use it, if you're trying to mechanically do it. Or you could go a step up and get one of them concrete mixers and do it that way. Being a little extra, you know. This batch here, I'm not gonna, as far as when I'm filling this pot over there for the figs, I'm not gonna put any amendments, you know, no fertilizer or nothing, you know. But I will put in some sand to help try to leach the water down. I don't put the perlite in because, like I said, I mean, that sucker likes to float, especially if you're, because I like to soak my bags, you know, to the point where, you know, it's nice and soaked through, and then I'll water it again, you know, to make sure all of it is saturated, you know, a good heavy watering, you know, because I tend to forget about watering plants. And I like to give a good soak because of this. Peat moss becomes hydrophobic if you don't try to get all of it wet. So it'll soak through to where the normal watering goes, but then it's gonna just start leaching out the side towards the top if you're not getting all of it. And in the plastic pot, you just fill it up, let that sucker run through, and you'll see it out the bottom pouring out. And once it dries, I'll let it sit for a while. If I start in the morning, if I do one in the morning, filling up the pot, I'll do it at night again. Make sure that peat moss isn't halfway dry. And I'm not the type to put rocks under plants because I don't know. People are weird about that. The plants don't like it. I mean, you want a firm base, so you can just pack the dirt nice and tight over there. Another thing you could do is just put sand. I mean, but some folks don't even like that. Some plants. So to increase your drainage, just add sand. I forgot to turn on the battery.